New seasons, new gear. Show the world what it means to be a fan in 100% authentic gear. Fanatics, officially licensed everything.
Get ready to dive into a new world of online shopping with the Fins Tailgate. Whether you're a die-hard sports fan or just looking for the latest fashion trends, we've got you covered. With a wide variety of products from your favorite sports teams to stylish accessories and home decor, we're your one-stop shop for all things tailgate. Our easy-to-use website and hassle-free checkout process make shopping with us a breeze. Plus, with frequent sales and discounts, you won't want to shop anywhere else. So come on in and join the party at the Fins Tailgate, your new go-to destination for all things tailgate.
Your attention, please. This is a public service announcement by the TFTG. Late night exhale is Saturdays, 10 p.m. Let the fun begin.
I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah. You know I be on the way. Man on a mission, I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah, it's all hard, ain't no fear here. You ain't giving this to all you did clear. Never beat, I've been down and I reappear. You got some money on the line, you better put it here. Rolling in and doing that work. Check priorities, I'm doing that first. Check's big and I'm sure that hurts, but it's checkmate. We ain't selling short, know the work. Ain't nowhere to hide. You ain't gotta see me come and keep me on your mind, cause I be on the way. You know I be on the way. Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on the way. Man, we coming for the bags. If they said I couldn't have, get the team. I got a vision for the things you ain't believe.
Good morning, Fin fans. I am your host, Ali the Persian. This is TFTG's Top of the Tailgate. It's 6 a.m. How's everybody doing? Hope all is good. How's it going? We're back. It's Friday. It's game day. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Throw on your jerseys. Throw on your hat. It's game day. Because today is our first preseason game. We get to see some of the youngsters and see what they really got in the tank. It's going to be an interesting day. We got a lot to talk about. But how's everybody doing? And while you're hanging out with us, make sure that you check out some of the other stuff that we got going on here. We got El Capitan's show Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yesterday's show was pretty good. Go check it out if you didn't get to see it on last night. In addition, he's going to be calling games on Sundays. I believe they're going to be calling a game today, so that'll be pretty fun. And then you got Color and I doing the morning show with Top of the Tailgate, WXYRP. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we're doing the morning show. We're trying to go Monday through Friday, but that might be up to debate because it is really hard to transition into it and do it every single day at 6 a.m., especially when we're hanging out with you folks to the wee late hours, which I need to hold back from. But, and there's a big but, we might make some schedule changes, but it still will have that Monday through Friday feel. Stay tuned. I got to talk to Color about that. But we got Late Night Exhale. Late Night Exhale's back Saturdays, 10 p.m. Definitely check it out, the Hype Show. We are definitely having a Saturday night Late Night Exhale this week. I won't be there. Color's taking the reins. Color says he'll make it the biggest Hype Show, even more than mine, he says. So definitely check that out. What else we got going on? We got KP, we got Lewis and Shake Money. Don't forget those guys. KP is back into the fold. Lewis, Shake Money, and others. We got some special announcement coming up. That will be good. Yeah, definitely check out Shake Money and Lewis and the Drive Time and Smoke shows. Definitely check them out. I can't wait to see what's going on. Let's see what else we got going on here. Just bear with me. I'm getting messages already off the get-go. But if you really like the content, you want to help us out and keep us going, feel free to donate if you'd like to. You don't have to. We appreciate it. We appreciate all donations, and super stickers and super chats. Check, if you can catch this on Cash App, money sign the Fin's Tailgate, or Venmo the Fin's Tailgate. Just look that up. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell, right? That's free. Everybody can do that. In addition to it, we also offer memberships. Shout out to all of our members. We have Amigos, Familia, and MVP or VIP. And there's different extra content that you get along with being a member. And you get special emojis and different level of stuff. Definitely check that out. It's really inexpensive. I want to say the lowest membership is like $2 a month, something like that. So definitely check that out. It's a good way to donate to the channel, but also be a little bit more, get a little bit more content, a little bit more part of the program, if you know what I mean. So definitely check that out. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Who do we got in here already? Marino's Goat beat everybody to the punch. What else? What's up, bro? That's 70s show. Shout out to you. We got Jose Valdez up in here. We got Color up in here. Joe Levesque. How's it going, buddy? Make sure that if you're on the Facebook or Twitch side or anything, come over to the YouTube side. Join the conversation. Definitely. And let's not forget about our affiliates, right? We got Fanatics. Fanatics, you're officially licensed to everything, as you heard the overlay voice say. They literally have everything. I get all of my hats, my jerseys, my t-shirts, any memorabilia I usually get it from Fanatics, right? And if you use the link below, there's no difference than going directly to them. But it does give some credit to the channel. So it gives a pat on the back, and it basically lets them know that we sent you over. We'd appreciate it if you use the link. It helps us out greatly, to be honest. In addition to that, Fanatics, check out Backroom Collections. Maybe you're looking for something to hang in your office or man cave or your bedroom. Me and my wife, we split the bedroom 50-50. I have all my cool Miami Dolphin hat collection and everything else on the wall. And she has, her Beauty and the Beast stuff on her side. That's kind of her shtick. She loves Disney movies and stuff. So definitely check out Backroom Collection. They got some cool, interesting artwork, canvas artwork, customizable. They do custom work, not just Miami Dolphins, but other stuff as well. They also have some cool accessories for those mini helmets that everybody collects. They have like visors that actually fit in them and stuff. So definitely check out Backroom Collection. In addition to Backroom Collection, let's not forget about Doobie Energy Drink. As Color says, it's all smash, no crash. Definitely check out Doobie Energy Drink. You don't get that jittering or crashing that you normally get with some of these other drinks. In addition, there's a lot less of the byproduct that's harmful for the body in Doobie Energy Drink versus some of the other ones. They have a lot more minerals and vitamins that help benefit the brain a lot more than some of the other ones. And when I say brain, I'm talking about with focusing and concentration and stuff like that. What else can I say about Doobie Energy Drink? They have a variety of different flavors. If you don't take my word for it, check out Shake Money. Shake Money. What's up, Color? I was going to intro you. So sorry about that. But Shake Money definitely has done some videos and some various different things. Take his word for it. He's actually bought the starter pack, and every Saturday has tested out a flavor and stuff. So if you want to take someone's word for how good this stuff is, check out Shake Money. I believe that is it. But if you want to save 10% off of both of the Backroom Collection or Doobie Energy Drink, use code TFTG at checkout. Again, that's code TFTG. So shout out to Doobie Energy Drink. Shout out to all of our affiliates. Rock and roll to all three of them. And don't forget your one-stop shop for TFTG everything. Go check out TFTGnetwork.com. Again, that's TFTGnetwork.com. We have our massive merch store where all of the products there are inspired by you in the chat and everything that has happened here on the TFTG since its inception. Definitely check that out. In addition to that, let's not forget, you can see articles by me, Color, and El Cap. I have quite a few of my older articles. I'm going to be writing some new ones, but I'm waiting till the season starts to really get into the swing of that. Just so you know, but you can read some of my older stuff. It also links my playlist of all my shows that I've done. And there's also Miami Dolphins direct news that you can get from there. And if you sign up for the newsletter, which is good because it keeps you informed of updates around the channel and and different things that we have coming up, you can save 10% off in the merch store. So definitely check out that as well. Again, that's TFTGnetwork.com. All right. Let's see here. Kadeem Simmons, how's it going, Kadeem? How you been? Yep, we are up definitely early. But
sorry to interrupt, Ali. I just had to say shout out to Kadeem. I haven't seen Kadeem in these person in a while, man. How you been doing? Good to see you. Hope everything's okay across the pond for you. And yeah, we Ali and I have been trying to get a little more consistent doing this early show, 6 a.m. on the Eastern side. So, you know, if you're doing your show prep, I know you guys got Go Time still going on. Go Time Dolphins. Everybody, make sure you're checking out Kadeem Simmons' channel, Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche. And while you're, you'll have something to listen because I know it's probably 11 o'clock there already. So that's kind of prime morning time for listening to Top of the Tailgate. So appreciate you coming by, Kadeem, and good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, I believe they were about 6 hours ahead of us, Color. So
England is 5 hours ahead. Germany is 6.
Okay, 5 hours. Sorry, I was 1 hour off. Sorry about that. But yeah, shout out to you, Kadeem. And shout out to, let's see who else we got in here. Chad Marchon is up in here. Shout out to you. Fins up 74. Heather Long, how you doing? See Hopeful, how's it going? Definitely. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got an interesting show, Color, right? We got some stuff I got to talk about. We're going to be talking about 10 players to watch. You know what I mean? There's a lot of interesting facts to talk about. So let's start off as we always do every morning, Binky. And that is, make sure you hit like and subscribe. But it's with coffee and a coffee of the week. I'm drinking some great value. It's definitely a great value. Get good taste for an exceptional price. Not the best, but it's not bad. Better than some of the other coffees I had. What was the one that I had that I really did not like the taste at all, Color? It was a light. What was that?
That was, I believe, gosh, I can't remember now. Dang.
It's the military one, right? That I got.
Oh yeah, was it
It must have been that bad. I forgot the name.
Yeah, exactly.
Black Rifle? Is it Black Rifle?
Black Rifle, that's right. Black Rifle, right.
So
I kept thinking Black Death for some reason. That's a vodka.
No. I want to say Black Rifle was it. It wasn't bad coffee. It was just way too light for me. And they have variety of different flavors. So I guess I'm going to have to try a different flavor that's more of a medium roast. But I will not go back to a light coffee no matter the brand now. I've kind of decided that. More of a medium roast or dark, depending on my mood. So, yeah. So, yeah, this is great value. They didn't have anything really interesting at Walmart when I was there. I got to go to Publix. They have a bigger selection, I want to say. But this is their blonde roast I'm drinking. It's a medium roast. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not super nutty, not super bitter. It's not really, you know how like you wake up to that morning coffee smell it doesn't have the aroma that some of these other coffees do that opens up your pores and wake you up before you even drink the coffee. You know what I mean?
Makes you hungry.
Yeah, it does make you hungry. But that it doesn't have that. But the taste isn't bad either. So I think for the value, it's exactly as advertised. It's great value. You're getting exceptional taste for the price you're paying. So they have a variety of different flavors. I think I like their Colombian a little bit better than their blonde roast, to be honest. But Colombian's more of a darker, darker coffee anyway. What are you drinking? McCafe?
What you saying? You're digging Colombians more than blondes? Is that what you're saying? I can't blame you. I mean,
color. I'm gonna go ahead and say yes, I am.
So this morning I am drinking my last cup of 8 o'clock coffee, medium roast. And
is it McCafe?
No, it's 8 o'clock coffee.
Oh, 8 o'clock. I'm
8
sorry.
o'clock is the brand. Yeah. It's my last cup, but I do have my next box is McCafe for sure. But the 8 o'clock's got a decent flavor, good blend, a little bit of a little bit of nut flavor, and no, it's too early in the morning, guys. I meant nuts, not the others. So just stop it already. With
attention. Hold on. I'll do a service announcement.
This is a service announcement by the TFTG. It's the nut flavor.
Right, yeah. But it's not as nutty as, let's say, chock full of nuts, which is another coffee brand. But it is pretty good. And it's not much different tasting than, let's say, your McCafes or your Dunkin' Donuts of the world.
Yeah. I mean, there's a variety of different brands I like now. I want to say there's like please correct me on the name. You've probably had them before, but it kind of looks like it's a Christmas themed company on the box. I want to try that next, I think.
Oh yeah, that's actually Barney's. Barney's is a local. They're a local coffee distributor that I don't. Obviously, the mall in Palm Beach, the Palm Beach Mall doesn't exist the way it used to. It's more of an outlet mall now. But I think there might still be a Barney's coffee shop in the Boynton Beach Mall. I'm not really sure, but they used to be just this small coffee shop in the malls in South Florida, and they're known as Barney's, and they were kind of like your Starbucks of the day before Starbucks hit the scene and went viral and all that. But it was very small coffee shop, a little eclectic, you know what I mean, with really good coffee and different flavors and stuff like that. You could go there and get fresh, like it was like a candy shop for coffee in the mall. And that was Barney's. And, so it was kind of interesting and cool to see, them start to pop up on the shelves, obviously, because they must have transitioned their business model a little bit. But so that's the history, kind of histrionics behind that brand, Barney's coffee. And the Christmassy kind of packages that you're looking at, they have these couple different flavors, like like a butterscotch, and then they got like a peppermint that is it's like Santa Claus or something like that, because it's like for Christmas, but they do have their regular blend as well. It's just sold out a lot.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. What was I going to tell you? That they have it at Publix for mostly. I've seen it a few times. I think I'm going to go get that this weekend, and that'll be my coffee of the week for next week. So
yeah, they're good. They just only give you 10 Keurig cups for your same money as the rest of them. That's why I don't get them very often. But
it's kind of pricey. Good. I got you. It's kind of pricey. It's currently, before we forget, it's 6:20 a.m. and this is your weather report. It's currently 84 degrees in Miami, high of 91 today, low of 82. It currently feels like 94 degrees with 77% humidity. Today is
at 6:30 in the morning, Molly. At 6:30 in the morning. Gosh.
Yes, and it's supposed to be partly cloudy for the mostly today, even partly sunny. In the afternoon, there's a slight chance, about 16% chance of rain, to be honest. And you know what? I expect the heat index to increase higher as we get later in the day. Yesterday, we were in a Twitter space, and it was mid-afternoon. It was around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I looked at the WTF app, and it said that it felt like 115. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So Saturday, tomorrow, I'm going to Orlando, and I asked the weather app, or I asked, was like, so what's the weather going to be in Orlando? And Alexa tells me, on my Alexa, it says that Orlando's weather tomorrow is going to be partly cloudy, high of 99. That's just the temperature.
That's brutal.
Not even including what the heat index or whatever is going to be. What it really
we could
feels
only
like.
hope that it dries out a little bit. You know what I mean? Wow,
Jesus
that's rough.
Christ. and it just said partly cloudy. It didn't say anything about rain color whatsoever.
Partly cloudy means it'll probably be humid. That usually doesn't mean drying out.
Yeah. I'm going to Orlando for the Food and Wine Festival, so I'm probably going to be lit.
You might touch 120 on the heat index, man.
Damn, dude. It's going to be nuts.
Because you figure you add, depending, if it's high humidity, you're going to add about, 10 to 15 degrees, man. You're already sitting at a 99 high. Wow. That's rough.
Yeah, it is going to be rough. It definitely is. So make sure you guys hit like and subscribe. This is Coffee of the Week we've been talking about. We just gave you your weather reports. I'm going to go ahead and give a my traffic report for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, this is TFTG's traffic report. Currently, the roads are clear. However, it's coming up to the weekend. You know it's going to be crazy. So buckle up, Buttercup, because you want to be safe there. That's definitely my traffic report for today.
And school's in, so it sucks.
Oh, yeah. And watch out for the kiddos. School's back. You know it's going to be crazy. And don't hit the yellow bus. We know that they're going to stop at every other corner. There. All right. Almost forgot about them. Let's keep it moving, Color. So the next subject, yes, cause for cleats, as we always do, Color. Let's talk about cause for cleats. Today's cause for cleats, just so you are aware, it is the St. Vincent de Paul Society. Just so you're aware. Their mission, a network of friends inspired by gospel values, growing in holiness and building a more just world through personal relationships with service to the people in need. Who we are. In the tradition of the founder, Blessed Frederick, and I apologize if I don't say this name correctly, you're probably going to correct me, Color. Oznam.
I'd have to see the word.
Ozanam. Oznam. I think that's how it is. And patron St. Vincent de Paul. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul is a Catholic lay organization. Osanam? Okay, we'll go with that.
Osanam, yeah.
It sounds German. His first name's Frederick, so it sounds German.
I figured I'd just go with the most crazy sounding pronunciation, and it might be right.
I understand. Inspired by gospel values, the society leads women and men to join together to grow spiritually by offering person-to-person service to those who are needy and suffering. A reflection of the whole family of God members known as Vincentians, I think that's how you say that, come together from every ethnic and cultural background, age group, economic level. Vincentians are united in the International Society of Charity by their spirit of poverty, humility, and sharing, which is nourished by prayer and reflection, mutually supported gatherings, and adherence to basic rule. Let's see. How does the society differ from other charities? The Society of St. Paul is composed of women and men who seek their personal holiness through work of charity. In this essential way of society differs from charitable associations or agencies whose principal objective is not the spiritual advancements. Interesting. They don't provide transactions. We create nature relationships, it says.
Mm.
It goes on to talk about their history and different things that they do. What we did today, Color, and as have been doing so for several weeks, is I put a randomizer with all the different NFL cause for cleats, and this is the one
Cool.
that popped. Just
Cool.
so you know.
Cool. By the way, I just want to say it was pretty neat. They coined a new word, Vincition. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, it's not a proper word, but it is properly grammatized, which is a word I just created.
Yeah. So if you'd like to know more about the St. Vincent de Paul Society, you can go to ssvpusa.org. Again, that's ssvpusa.org. They can tell you about how you can volunteer, more about the programs that they provide. It looks like they do a lot of volunteering and a lot of other services that they provide as well. And, you know, you can learn more about what they do exactly. Trying to see if they have anything like about their impact and stuff like that.
They don't happen to be based out of Minneapolis, do they?
I wouldn't be surprised. Let's actually find out.
Considering they named the sister city after St. Paul.
Actually, no. They're more around from your neck of the woods of the Midwest. Missouri. Maryland Heights.
Oh, my former neck of the woods. Maryland Heights. Oh, that's right there in right outside of St. Louis. That's a suburb of St. Louis.
I figured you would know about it. Yeah, they looks like they volunteer a lot. There's a lot of different
They have a good Denny's in Maryland Heights.
So they do food pantries, home visits, international twining. They do a lot. Thrift stores, disaster service corporations. So they basically help with disaster services. Back to work. These are different things that they do. I finally found it here, Color. Their website's a little bit different than some of the other organizations we've talked about. But they do back to work program, provides customized training, continuing education, community resources, connectivity, and mentoring to low-income, unemployed, or underemployed individuals. Food pantries. Many families cannot consistently put food on the table. Servicing neighbors in need in communities across the United States. Our food pantries provide both fresh and non-perishable goods in neighborhoods impacted by poverty. Home visits. During home visits, Venetians bring hope and financial resources to neighbors in need through assistance with rent, food, clothing, and other emergency needs. International twining. Committed to sharing financial resources, exchanging prayers, and creating cross-cultural friendships. The International Twining Program helps connect U.S. Conferences and councils with those in countries lacking the means to conduct local workers' works of charity. They have a lot of other programs that they're part of. They have a youth and young adults program to help youth and adult kids that may be in poverty, or may have some sort of rough life going on. Essentially, there's disaster services. They're
in a great position for that geographically, because there's no shortage of different types of disasters in Missouri, from tornadoes to floods to heck, you might even get a little bit of an earth rumble every now and then.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely check out ssvpusa.org. Again, we're not affiliated with any of these charities or cause for cleats. We are just making people aware of them. We're giving it a shout out. And if you know somebody that's in that area or is somebody that needs this type of assistance, rock and roll. You can share it with them as well. Let's keep it moving though, Color, because we got to talk about some Miami Dolphin news. I know everybody wants to talk about the Dolphins. We got a preseason game today. Are you excited for today's game?
I heard it was game day, man. I woke up this morning. I'm like, it feels like game day for some reason, man. It just does.
Speaking
I
of
mean, it's
which,
only
before
preseason, and we're probably not going to see anybody play, but whatever. We'll get a good chance to look at some of the guys we've been having questions about.
speaking of which, Killer, before I forget, Vivid Seats does have a ton of tickets available still, and it's pretty inexpensive from what I saw.
My mom did ask how much it was, but I'm like, don't push it. I told her not to push it because I like, somebody does have to do a show tonight. You know what I mean?
There are tickets that are less than $20, Killer.
Really? Well, I would expect that for a preseason game. I mean,
Yeah,
damn.
yeah. I think even the more expensive ones are like less than $50 from what I saw.
Well, maybe throughout, I don't know. Maybe throughout the day, I might be able to do something and hitch a ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Go
But
to Vivid. Go to
I
Vivid
did turn
Seats.
down my wheels, and she don't get off till like 7, so I'd have to have a ride.
Well, I mean, I
Like
could take care of that.
I can't even get to the Publix this time, Ollie, is what I'm saying.
I understand. Well, let me know if you can procure a ticket, and then we'll figure it.
Right on. Yep, sure
All right.
thing, man.
All right. So let's keep it moving. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to football. That's right. We're going to time for some football. So let's actually talk about this. The first article we're going to go over today in discussion. Mike McDaniel is testing the limits of the Miami's offense. Now, as I talked about it a little bit yesterday in the Twitter space, I had to commend Omar Kelly for a comment he made. He made that it may seem like Miami's offense is struggling, but they're experimenting. And that is what training camp is about. It's yes, there's different factors about this. First of all, training camp number one overall's function is for evaluation. You want to see what newer players, younger players have in the tank, and you want to see what they bring to the table to see if they can make your 53-man roster, or you can use them on your 53-man roster or not, right? That's number one. Number two, if you're already a seasoned vet, they know what you bring to the table and whatnot. It's the time for you to hone in on your skills, sharpen your tools and stuff, maybe bring in some new tools that they didn't know you could do, or experiment with you in different ways to see if there's more than just certain aspects of the game that you bet they benefit. That's the point of being a veteran and going through training camp. It's also time for the Miami Dolphins or any other team or even players to experiment and actually do things that they wouldn't normally do to see what happens. You know what I mean? Maybe they have their receivers doing something different right now, and that's why it doesn't look right. There's various different reasons. I want to see what Omar says in this article, though, because it's kind of interesting. Is Miami's offense experimenting a second-year slump, or were the struggles this week a byproduct of experimentation? So let's talk about it. I've watched a lot of bad Miami Dolphin offenses during my tenure covering this franchise since 2007. He says Cameron's legendary one-on-one season, one and done season, was my entry point with the franchise, and I still have flashbacks of that 1-15 season in my nightmares. The Chad Henne era lasted 3 years and featured a ton of checkdowns, and then it was followed by Ryan Tannehill's 6 seasons of watching Miami's 2012 first-round pick get sacked 8 to 10 times a day in practice and annually led the NFL in sacks taken. That's no joke. My point is, I've lived through the struggle all my Miami Dolphin fans have become familiar with until Mike McDaniel and Tua ended the era of offensive ineptitude last season, producing the NFL's 6th most productive offense. Right? That's why these last 3 practices, which featured a dismissal performance in the Hard Rock Stadium scrimmage, 2 lackluster joint practices for the offense, and the Atlanta Falcons, won't faze me. Okay. I've seen the abyss. This isn't it. McDaniel's offense isn't struggling. It's not embarking on a sophomore season slump. It's experiencing some growing pains heading into Friday night's preseason game against the Falcons, which likely won't include key starters like Tyreek Hill, Tua playing playing many snaps, if any. I personally don't think any of the starters should play, but that's just me. What do you think, Colin?
Should is relative and subjective. It really, I don't think there's anything we need to see per se, but that doesn't mean Mike McDaniel, there isn't anything he needs to see. So I think hold out an outside chance that we see them for a series or two. Because of any new installs that Mike wants to try and wants to look at game speed, or if there's anything he needs to look at a player for that requires Tua to be the one to deliver the ball. So, for instance, that's the thing people forget too, is he might not need to look at anything for Tua per se. I'm just using that as an example because he's the quarterback and it's easy to go through. He might not need to see anything out of Tua, but he might need to see something out of, let's say, Robbie Chosen, and he doesn't want to make that evaluation without the number one quarterback delivering the ball. You see what I'm saying?
I see. I understand what you're saying. And
since we only have one number one quarterback, Tua would be responsible for playing a couple downs or whatever. But other than that, no, I don't think we're probably not going to see them at all.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying in that aspect. Okay, maybe a series, but that's about it for me. I don't think
taking it off the quarterback. You might have a defensive lineman that don't need to start play because it's not enough to see what, let's say, Cam Good does himself. We might want to see what Cam Good does in place of Chubb with Phillips still in the game. So Phillips might have to take a couple snaps, even though he really don't need to. You know what I
mean? Interesting. Yeah, I think personally, I understand what you're saying, that maybe he wants to see something from Chosen, but he wants to see it from QB1 throwing.
Well, that's just the example. Maybe he wants to know what this guy looks like with this starter in the package.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I guess
that's the only rare. That's the only rare thing I can think of that why he would. There might be questions he has, but I don't. I think he's seen enough of what he needs to know out of his skill set. So there's no real reason to play him.
I think that they need to use this game to really start to battle the backup QBs. It's going to be battle of the backup.
Exactly. If you're talking about getting got veterans up to game speed, you're probably going to do that a little more towards the second or third preseason game, ramping up closer to the season.
This is true. And do understand, even though, let's say you're going to give Mike White and Skylar the reins, right? That doesn't mean that they can't play with some of the other starters as well. You know what I mean? You could see
exactly.
Maybe you see Austin Jackson and Eichenberg out there with Chosen or something like that. Even maybe Durham Smythe will be there, playing a little bit.
And those are the types of positions that, you might even want to see them with the backup in because, we know we had issues when our backups were in last year. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
And that's something I've seen a little bit of difference from last season, right? We're seeing the backups get a little bit more work with the ones than what we've seen in the past. And I think they've learned from that mistake. And I like to see that. At least we know that they're willing to, okay, we made a mistake, but we're not going to make that mistake again. You know what I mean? They, you know what I'm saying? They learn from that. Let's keep it moving though. Some of the overall philosophical details of technique we were having to sell on guys, now they can answer the test. Now they know when it's not enough. Now they have an expectation, McDaniel said earlier this week. I would say I'm very pleased with where we're at right now. It's just an incomplete story. In terms of being from year 1 to year 2, I expect it to be much better. I feel like it is, but that means nothing if we just take a step backwards for the next 2 weeks. Time to experiment for the Dolphins offense. With exactly a month to go before the regular season opens on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers, There's no better time to experiment with the offense, testing its limits than now. I agree with him, to be honest. That's why we've watched a series after series of Tua lining up with Freddie Swain and Chris Coleman, two of the many undrafted receivers in the NFL's top-rated quarterback, has lined up to work with this camp. Yes, I have seen this. There's a constant rotation of at left guards and tight ends working with the first team unit as Miami's coaches auditions for starting spots and roles. During this week's practice, we witnessed far less motion to the offense than I'm used to seeing. Why? Maybe because fan in attendance was started to film every possible second or practice sharing it on the internet. Wow, that is the truth, though. You have to admit, Color, that out of all the fan bases, I think I see way more Miami Dolphin videos from training camp than any other team, to be honest.
Well, that's why Michael K had to back down with his nonsense about 3,200 fans showing up for Buffalo. It's like, what, man? Come on. You can't even have a practice in Miami without a fan filming something.
Yeah, well, the 32 fans, he was mistaken. He had to put his glasses on and realized he was looking at a landfill. So, just saying.
Nice, Ollie, nice. Perfect. No, but I think Omar's spot on that. I mean, I think he's probably also saying that with a little bit of tongue in cheek, like,
yeah,
let it ride, people,
Yeah, let's see what else he has to say. Do the Dolphins look ready for the start of the NFL season? Not the offense, not even close. But this is the time to test the offense's boundaries and limitations of what's possible. This isn't an excuse for the last 3 days. It's an explanation. Armstead's absence has been a factor. Teron Armstead has participated in less than a dozen 11-on-11 snaps as he works his way back from a knee scope this offseason. The Pro Bowl left tackle won't even sniff the field during the preseason and is considering his troublesome medical history. That's absolutely fine. Anyone whose eyes have been seen practices as Miami Baptist Health Training Facility can see that Robbie Chosen is one of the team's top playmakers, but nobody can explain why he sparingly worked with Tua until injuries to Eric Izukama, Braylon Sanders, and now Jalen Waddle started to water down the receiver unit.
Pause if you could, Ollie. I think it's interesting that Omar put that in there because he's been parroting that for like a week, man, like trying to scream from the top of his lungs about Robbie Chosen, and nobody's getting no traction. So it's interesting to see him finally like get frustrated enough to put it in black and white, like write it. You know what I mean? Like, people, what's up with Robbie? Definitely. Give him more cred.
If the Dolphins really were focused on putting on a good show instead of fine-tuning the offense, helping it evolve from from year 1 to year 2, they would have started camp with Chosen higher on the depth chart, in my opinion. That's what he says. We'll be watching tailbacks like Jeff Wilson, Devon A-Chain work their roles, not a rotation. The whole point of training camp is coming out here and getting better and improving each day on things that we focus on, said receiver River Craycraft. Again, this is what I was talking about. It's not necessarily about how the offense looks at this point. It's about what you're focusing on and how well you do what you're focusing on. What that means is, in River Craycraft example, right? Maybe he's doing something that focuses on his route running or speed, because we already know that he's really good hands catcher. Both, he knows how to not take your eyes off the ball. We'll use Waddle as an example. The biggest knock that anybody has is that he's not really a hands catcher. He's more of a body catcher. So I'd expect him to be doing nothing but working on his hands catching. Now, why is that an issue? Because at first, if it's something that you're not really good at, it's not going to look beautiful color. It's not going to look amazing or anything. You're going to see drop passes. You're going to see routes not being run correctly or whatever it may be that you're focusing on.
which
But
gets
this
back
is
to the point about experimentation and training and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
why you might see Tua try to force a ball into somewhere or throw a ball that looks a little off or whatever. He literally may have been directed to do that by the coach because they wanted to see if Waddle could reach his hands out. So
I mean,
sometimes they literally are trying to create situations to test that which a player is trying to fix. So when somebody comes out and says, "I was at practice and I saw that Tua was on one play was one read and he didn't even go through his progressions and he also threw it to a guy in triple coverage." Well, he may have literally been directed to do that by the coach.
yeah,
To test something about the receiver. We just don't know. I'm not saying that's a reality. It could very well be that the person is right in what they're saying about Tua. Whatever. I'm just saying we don't know. We're not down there on the field next to Mike McDaniel listening to him bark shit out to the players. We just don't know.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because one thing I have seen Tua himself working on during camp, the ones that I attended, is his progression of the play, going from his first read, second read, third read, and so
I have
on.
witnessed that myself.
And
in 11
that's
on
something
11.
and that's something we've knocked him before in the past, and he's
Right.
actually working on it. And maybe they told him, "Hey, we know this is going to be a muscle memory thing, and maybe we just need you to slow your game down. It's not going to look
Right.
pretty. You're probably going to get sacked or whatever, but at least I want to see you actually making the point to look, for the different receivers."
Right, right.
And
Now
as
let's
we
say,
go along, hold on, caller. Let me land real quick.
Yep.
And as you go along, we will start to make that faster and faster read and a faster read and a faster read, to where it's just muscle memory at that point.
And
That's what I was
along the way, we might throw in a play that has nothing to do with all that training.
Yeah.
So, if, for instance, besides the fact that not every play requires that, there are some plays that are just designed to do a certain thing. Okay. And secondly, like, let's say, like, you see Tua running in an 11 on 11 drill. We're talking. Let's say you see him run a play. He cycles through progressions, makes a read, makes a check down, makes a throw, whatever it is. The very next play, McDaniel could have a completely different interest in mind and say, "Okay, run this and make sure you throw it to the guy in triple coverage."
And you may ask, well, why would he do that, caller? I will tell you why.
To test the receiver.
Not just to test the receiver, but you could use that as, "Hey, we're going to stop what you're doing and then go back. I want to go back to what you're doing."
Change your pace because you got it right. Exactly. You got it right. You want to end that little bit on a good note and move on to something else for a minute. Exactly.
But that's not what I'm talking about, color. What I'm talking about is, let's say you're working with the progression, like the reads, from making sure you work your field, and then you see, go from the first, second, third, fourth read. I'm going to have you switch it up and go back to what you were doing before one play. And then the next play, now I want you to go back to the progression and then see what he looks like when he goes back to it. So
call a play that doesn't require progressions, throw it in there, and then go back to one that does, right.
Yeah. So when you do that over and over again, not only you're building muscle memory or with the quarterback, but you're also building you're basically testing your quarterback and his progress of what he's working on. That's
someone might say, "Ali, color, you're totally wrong. You're sugarcoating everything, blah, 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 yaggity schmaggity." And you could be right, too. They could just be bad right now. I don't know. No. I'm just saying we don't know is the whole key.
This is called speculation. We are speculating. Yes.
And that's the thing. And on the throwing into, look, we know we've had issues when our receivers can't get separation. Tua's had issues finding completing passes. That's one of the reasons we said we didn't have very good production in Tua's second year, because guys like Devontae couldn't get separation and this, that, or the other, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we've got receivers that can get separation. That definitely helped Tua out. We saw that help him out last year. But at the same time, they're not gonna get separation every single time. And so Tua still needs to work on throwing in those tight windows, blah, blah, blah. So there's no reason to think that Mike McDaniel wouldn't direct him to throw a ball into triple coverage.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Try to make that throw, Tua, if that's the throw you're going to make. Let's say you make a mistake in a game and you shouldn't have thrown there. That doesn't mean you still can't throw a ball in a way they can make the pass complete, even though it shouldn't have been thrown. So we just don't know. We just don't know what they're doing and why.
Let's continue what Omar is saying here. He says a couple of interceptions Tua has thrown the past 3 practices were situational periods, third down situations with time expiring and his options limited, as his team was in need of a touchdown. Does it make it better? Not really. But players like Tua use failure as fuel. There were things that we wanted to try. So when you do go into the game, should you try it again? Should you not try it? That's your discretion, said Tua, who led the NFL in a number of important statistical categories last season. I think it's good because you learn so much from these things, but outside of that, you just continue to keep moving forward with it and keep playing. That's why the last 3 disappointing practices could end up being beneficial for the Dolphins in the long run, and not a warning sign that the offensive ineptitude this franchise has featured for 2 decades until last season has returned.
Right.
That's
switching
the end
devices,
of the article.
Ollie. While you finish that up, I'm switching devices just to let you know.
No worries. So that's the end of the article by Omar. And that just kind of reinforces the idea that we think that they're using this time to experiment with the offense. Even on the defense, I could argue they're doing the same thing on the defense. They're experimenting with all the different corners. Is it look pretty every time? No. Is there different stuff that does look really good? Yes. There's a lot of different things that they do. And here's the thing, because unfortunately Miami fans record everything and try to get the highlights as much as they do on Twitter, because really, why go to camp when you can just go on Twitter? I think a lot of the stuff that I really think that makes this offense shine is being done in under the bubble color. Because if you go back and look at all the beat writers and what they're reporting, it seems like the offense is clicking and doing very well in the bubble, but not in front of the public. It's really weird. Every time I hear 95-yard touchdown, 50+ yard touchdown from Skyler and whatnot, but it's under the bubble and not in front of the public. You know what I'm saying, Color?
Yeah, yep. And the other thing too, along those lines, Ollie, is that outside the bubble, even inside the bubble, and it gets back to the whole thing about training camp and what it's meant for. You're not gonna. We know what we do well. When I wake up in the morning, I know what I'm good at. I know what the things in my life that I have done for so long that I no longer need one iota of practice on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so why would I go why would I go into my kitchen every morning and have a 2-hour session practicing how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? What I'm more likely to do, if I was interested in the culinary arts, what I would be more likely to do, since I know how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I would try to make some kind of complex Italian dinner.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? Because I don't know how to do that. Because I'm not good at that. Because I don't have any training in that.
I understand. Definitely.
So I'm not going to go to training camp on the whim of the fans and run plays that are routine just so I can look good and the fans can be happy and comfortable with what they see.
Mm-hmm. I agree with, definitely. I agree with Dolphin Don, and thank you for joining the channel, Dolphin Don. He says, I think we want the stress in training camp. Ali, nobody gets better shooting layups. I agree with you. If it's the same thing over and over again, how are you getting better? You're not fine tuning your skills or anything.
Right.
In fact, I want to say it was McDaniel they were interviewing when he first got hired. They were talking about his time with the Commanders, or yeah, I don't think they were called the Commanders at that time, but I forget who the quarterback was they had drafted. God, what's his name? He played for Baylor, I believe. But they hadn't really known
RG3.
any RG3. Yes, thank you for correcting me, Color. They didn't really know anything about the RPO offense, and they had to adapt and change and adapt their style of offense to an RPO to make it work. You know what I mean? They had to experiment, and that's something I think that that he's willing to do, and training camp is the perfect time to do that. You want to maybe change up your offense and keep defenses guessing. You don't want everything to there's so much on tape right now, so you don't want to do the same.
Mhm.
You got to adapt and modify so you can continuously stay ahead
Yep.
of everybody else, essentially.
And back to the sandwich analogy. Let's
Mhm.
say I had let's say I had an event where I had to go. I was going to go cater or make dinner for a dinner party for Chef Jew's wedding.
Mhm.
Now, if y'all don't know, Chef Jew is actually a culinary artist. So, that's why if I'm going to an event where I've
Shout
got
out
to
Chef
impress
Jew.
Chef Jew, okay, and
Mhm.
let's say I've got a culinary coach, right, for that whole week before I'm showing up to Chef Jew's house on Saturday night to cook him a dinner, right? And all week, my culinary coach has me making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Just so everybody can feel good to know that he's a good culinary coach and his student can make a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now I'm showing up to Chef Jew's house and I'm like, well, all my fans love me because they know I'm good because they saw that I can make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What's that do for me for that night, for that performance, if I'm trying to impress Chef Jew with cooking him an Italian dinner? Not that I could anyway, but just saying, you don't practice the stuff you know how to do. It's that simple.
Very interesting. Yeah, definitely. I agree. It is that simple. Let's keep it moving, Color. I got another article to read, and I do have to stop hard at 8 today, so just so you know that.
Right on. That gives us a
So
whole hour and 2 minutes, bro.
let's do
You ain't
this.
getting out of it, man.
Definitely. So today is game day, so let's talk about 10 players to watch tonight in Dolphins preseason opener. Checking out some of the Miami Dolphin players with the most at stake in the preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons. This is by Alan Poupard, by the way, so shout out to him. The Miami Dolphins will open their preseason schedule against the Atlanta Falcons at Hard Rock Stadium on Friday night, and is usually the case. The expectation is that most frontline players will be kept out of the first preseason game. These players who won't dress for the first game for non-injury reasons pretty much are the locks to make the 53-man roster. And conversely, those in the lineup either will be trying to offer more evidence that they should be on the 23 team, or at the very least, get a bigger role on the offense or defense. Here's our list of the 10 players to watch in the preseason opener against the Falcons. Number 1, running back Devon Achane. This rookie third-round pick from Texas A&M obviously will make the 53-man roster, but the question remains to how big of a role he'll end up playing for the offense in 2023. Achane certainly has the speed to become an impact player on offense, and the preseason could offer more clues to whether he can handle a prominent role despite his small frame. Now, we all know this guy's going to make the roster. People are betting that he's going to be the next big running back in this league and whatnot, and hyping him up, right? And we know we are trying to play that running back by committee type of running back room. However, something interesting that was in the last article that Omar Kelly pointed out. When he was talking about the running backs, Devon A-Chain and Jeff Wilson Jr., he said something in the fact that they're sharpening their skills to be better in their role, not their committee. That was kind of interesting. What do you think that he meant by that?
Well, I'd have to hear the words to see if he maybe used an incorrect word or something, but because he could have meant like in their committee or something, or by their committee. Like maybe he misspoke. I'd have to hear it. But if he did mean to use those words, then that just tells you that what we think about what we're doing with our running backs is completely different than what Mike McDaniel is doing with them. So
let me correct myself, because I think I misunderstood, because it's actually different. Couldn't mean the same thing that I just said, but he said it a little bit differently than what I remember when I was writing down. We'd be watching tailbacks like Jeff Wilson and Devon A-Chain work in their roles, not a rotation.
That's exactly, and that's along the same take from me. Like that's along what I was thinking, is that he's saying, look, we don't, and it goes right along the lines that I keep talking about, the West Coast offense. We are not a traditional running team. We are not going to implement a traditional running style. We're not going to do that. We have no pecking order. We have no rotation. We have guys that have skills that Mike McDaniel wants to use in a certain way in a certain given situation. That's the precise nature of how you use running backs in a West Coast system. I can say it till I'm blue in the face. I can scream it at the top of my lungs. But until people go and actually read the articles, several articles, and several like instructionals and tutorials that I've watched from high school, college, and professional coaches about the West Coast system and the histrionics that I've learned about it, how it was formed and why and by whom, okay, you will find that what Mike McDaniel is saying makes absolute, perfect, 100% sense. Because it's not about who is the number one, who is the number 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a rotation. It's not a committee per se. It's simply, if you can do this, I'm going to use you this way. And this has been the argument about a guy like Cook, who people assume is going to be some kind of traditional word would be bell cow, where he's the focus and the number one, and we can trade off all our running backs because we got Cook now. It just simply ain't going to work that way. Mike McDaniel has a certain idea of how many carries his system would allot to a guy like Cook, and the Dolphins organization, i.e. Chris Greer, has a certain monetary value that they put on that number of carries per game. If Cook thinks that he's worth a certain amount of money simply because of his track record, potential, and name, he needs to go elsewhere, because we are not going to give him that number of carries to warrant the money. We're looking at it like your money is based on how many carries we plan on giving you or you get. He and his values for himself is based on himself. Two different things. I'm not saying Dalvin Cook ain't a top echelon, multi-million-dollar running back. I'm saying that we would not be able to justify the cost for that because we would not use him that way. We would certainly use those skills, but we would not use him the way Minnesota did. We just simply wouldn't.
Yeah, I definitely agree regarding this. I do think that every running back they bring in, or any position, there is a role in mind and how they would work in this offense, and it may not be the same. It's not a rotation that they're all doing the same thing. They're going to be used effectively and strategically in different ways. So I agree with that.
Right. And if you read those tea leaves, Ali, like we have before, and we've said on record, Fournette actually makes the better sense. Because if you look at it from that standpoint, as far as our need goes, in what type of skill set we don't have in our running back room.
And see that it makes more sense based on what we know. It's the what we don't know that we're not in the room with McDaniel and Chris Greer that is the biggest factor on who we'd go after. You know what I mean? And that may be why we have or have not signed someone in any position.
Exactly. That's why we're not on the fans' timetable is an easier way to say it, Ali. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Let's keep it moving, Color. So the next position, tight end, 6th round draft pick, Elijah Higgins. Like A-Chain, Higgins was a 2023 draft pick, but he was taken in the 6th round, and his roster spot isn't as nearly secure as A-Chain's, particularly since he hasn't been particularly noticeable in training camp. In an ideal world, the Dolphins would love for Higgins, a converted wide receiver, to step up and establish himself as a viable option for the passing game. I have seen him make some catches, right? I've also seen him make some blocks. Yeah, it's not sexy. It's not something that flashes or anything. But I will say it's a work in progress when it comes to the block.
All he's got to do is be in the way long enough, bro. He doesn't even have to muscle anybody. He's just got to stand in the way long enough.
Yeah, and that's my point is I kind of, the way Alan Papar writes this out, it basically sounds like they haven't seen him at all during training camp. And I want to disagree with that a little bit. I have seen him a little bit in the drills, not so much in the 11-11s, but in the drills I have seen him. And in addition to it, let's not forget, obviously this man knows how to catch the ball and knows the wide receiver tree and probably knows the tight end receiving tree pretty well now at this point, right? That is really not what they need to verify. They need to hone in on his blocking skills and coming off of the block into his routes. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is something that I think they need to hone in on. And that may not look sexy right now. It may not, be noticeable to people. But I think, in my opinion, that's maybe something at this point, at least in the first stage of preseason, that McDaniel and company are working on with him. I think his true evaluation will be when we get to the second or third preseason game, because then at that point, all those skills that they taught you or things they taught you in the beginning should come to fruition in the end of things. What do you think about that, Color?
Yeah, I agree, and I think to finally give credit where it's due when it comes to Gesicki, I think if they would have started that project with him, he probably could have been a different tight end altogether, and we'd be having a different discussion and would have taken a different tack. Unfortunately, Gesicki wasn't drafted by these guys, and they weren't willing to start that project up on him this late in his career. So they bring in a guy like, they draft a guy like Higgins, who is a pure wide receiver, where Gesicki wasn't. Size-wise, doesn't give up much to Gesicki. And of course, the tight end tree, in my opinion, would be easier to adapt for a wide receiver than a tight end adapting a wide receiver tree. So that does just leave the other responsibility of a tight end, the blocking. And so if this guy can get it going and even just be sufficient, stand in the way long enough. That's all this system requires. That's why they haven't thrown Durham Smythe out with the bathwater, because and I did see him get pancaked in training camp. But by the time he got pancaked, it didn't matter, because he had stood in the way long enough for the play to develop and go where it needed to go. Yeah, which was it happened to be a misdirection type play anyway. So the guy pancaking Smythe was completely out of the play.
Let me ask you this, Color. Why don't the Miami Dolphins just actually draft a tight end rather than drafting hybrid tight end wide receivers? Do you know why we're doing that?
Again, it would fall along the same explanation that I just gave about the tight end being, or the wide receiver being able to pick up the tight end tree easier than the reciprocal.
Well, obviously, I understand that, but like,
So if you can get a big wide receiver, a big Megatron type wide receiver, you know, it'd be easy. It might be easier to do that than get a tight end, because you still have to train the new tight end at to the NFL level. So if you're training a guy as a tight end from the jump, and he's never been a tight end, you're training him right up into that NFL level game speed and strength. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what
he doesn't have, in other words, he doesn't have any old tight end college, high school habits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. I mean, for me, like, I think it's harder to draft a tight end that is successful than it is to one that's not successful.
Well, that's the other thing too. Yeah, sure.
And in addition to
most
that,
of them are just average.
Yeah, they're just average, exactly. And in addition to that, I think by getting a hybrid tight end, not only do you have maybe a higher chance of finding some success, so it's a little bit easier, but they become more versatile in the offense. And I think that's
and let's face it, Ollie. When you get to those tweeners, okay, where a guy could either be a tight end or a wide receiver, really what separates the two and what determines whether a guy is a tight end or a receiver is a lot of times simply down to a matter of agility. And so, you know, when you look at a guy like Higgins who has mastered the wide receiver tree, which requires more agility by default than the tight end tree. Okay, we know what the tropes have been about Mike Gesicki and his route running abilities. Sure, better than Durham Smythe, but still rounded off. You know, not sharply cut. You know, stuff like that. Whereas a wide receiver has that down. So now you've got a guy, if you can get him to the blocking level of a tight end and you convert him like we suggest, and you're successful in doing that, now you've got a guy that can motion up and down the line of scrimmage, play anywhere at the line of scrimmage, forget the receiver positions, the flank and the split, but you also got a guy that can be on the line of scrimmage along it, that can run a wide receiver tree out of that geography, out of that spot of the geography of the field. You see what I'm saying? Like, even if Mike Gesicki got better at running his tight end routes and was more crisp, he still wouldn't have the ability to run the 9 routes that are in a or the 10 routes that are in a wide receiver route tree. Higgins does, and he's agile enough to do it. That would be the idea anyway. That would be the projection, that he's agile enough to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, that almost triples Mike McDaniel's playbook, bro, as far as having a tight end that can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now it's just a point of finding the proper tight end to be able to do it. So that's where we're at right now. We have a lot of tight ends in camp. Maybe another one will end up on this list here. Well, let's keep it moving, Color, because we only got about 45 minutes here. So let's keep it going. So the next person, this person, I have dubbed the last couple of days as being one step away from the Greyhound stop, right? That's what everybody is saying every day for the past week. He looks bad. Why is this guy even on the team? Get him out of here. You know, that's what you've been hearing. Guard Liam Eichenberg is a player to watch. Colors is on their list. Outside of Tua, and maybe even including Tua, there might not be a player on the Dolphins roster who has been scrutinized this summer as much as Eichenberg. While he's listed as the first team left guard, the 2021 second round pick has not had a great training camp, and it sure would seem he needs to pick up his game in the preseason if he wants to claim the starting job. Ain't that the truth, Color? This guy, I know we're experimenting. That's what we're trying to say. But there are some people that have to hone down on their skills and actually get better at the skills they have, right? Eichenberg is one of them. And I think Eichenberg he's one of those people that he doesn't have to hone in on other skills to get better. He needs to hone down on his basics and fundamentals to actually show what he actually can play in this league. That's my opinion. Now, is there room to grow? Is it possible that he could get better? Yeah, anything's possible. I will always give someone a second chance. But now we're what? This is I believe this is what, year 3 now? Isn't that right, Color? With Eichenberg and Austin Jackson?
I believe so, yeah. Possibly.
Right.
We're heading into 4, right? No?
Or was Eichenberg drafted when we got Waddle?
Possibly.
I think he was drafted when we got Waddle. So I'm gonna say this is his year 3, right? You think you would see some type of progression. Now, McDaniel's been quoted that, yeah, I've seen some progression, but it's not consistent enough, in my opinion. And it's at in the wrong time of scheme of things that it looks so bad. At one point, are they going to tap out and say enough is enough? And in my opinion, the next guy on this list, really, if he plays today, I think it's his spot to lose, and that's Isaiah Wynn. He says the former New England Patriots first-round pick, who the Dolphins signed in the offseason, is listed on the depth chart as the second-team left guard behind Eichenberg, but he hasn't distinguished himself as the slam dunk choice for the job if the Dolphins instead decide to move on from Eichenberg. Wynn played mostly left tackle in New England, but he does have some experience at left guard. So when we have seen him, it looks decent. Why haven't Miami made the jump yet? Do you have any theories, Color, about Liam Eichenberg being so bad and why we haven't made the jump to Isaiah Wynn?
I could only point to our previous conversation about what the nature of camp is. And also the rule change that allows us to keep 90 guys for a lot closer to the season. I don't think there's any reason to do anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
So while you've got the opportunity, maybe you can get him finally up to speed, or, at the very least, if you believe in Isaiah Wynn already more than Eichenberg and you've already made your decision, there's no reason to do anything with Eichenberg because you can still use him as a camp body.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I agree. Listen, for me, I actually believe in Isaiah Wynn more than I do Eichenberg. Eichenberg has not shown me one bit that he belongs on this team, if anything.
Right. Well, again, per our last conversation, if you don't practice the things you know how to do, if they know Wynn can do, that might be why we continue to see Eichenberg shoved in the start spot. You know what I mean? And getting the reps over Isaiah Wynn, because if Isaiah Wynn's got it, what do they need to see? You know what I mean?
You're right. That's a possibility. True. That's definitely a possibility. Or they could be showcasing Eichenberg for a possible move. Maybe
there's always that.
Yeah, he's still young enough.
If they can mask and get him up to speed enough to make him look tradable, sure, I can see that.
And he's young enough, that is a possibility. These are all different possibilities.
Right, there might be some other offensive line coach out there that's yanking on his coach's shirt going, I want that guy, I want that guy.
And then there's that thing we just talked about in the last article, Color. We're experimenting. So who knows? Maybe this is all part of the experiment. We don't know. You know what I mean? We're only speculating here. But for me, and I'm going to take this probably out of Batman's pocket, because this is something Batman would probably say. And when I mean Batman, if you're new to the channel or new to the community, we're talking about another YouTuber at this point.
By the way, I meant a sucker's born every minute, by the way, Ollie, about that offensive line coach. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's all good. It's all good. I don't even think Eichenberg is good enough to hold Tua's water bottle. That's how much optimism I have for him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, he's not even good enough to do that. And I don't know why. I understand why. I know it's pretty bad, but he hasn't shown me one iota that he belongs on this team.
Well, he didn't break Tua's ribs. I mean, you give him credit for that.
Nobody broke Tua's ribs except for the player that hit him, to be honest. Just being honest.
Man, I know. I'm just being facetious.
I understand. But here's my point is that I've given you, this is year 3 now for you. I've given you the past 2 years to show me something, and in training camp, you could have just shown me a little bit more consistent progression. You know what I mean? And I haven't seen it. I think I saw him, like, the only thing I've heard, this is the only thing legitly, and I got to go back and go through my notes to be confirm it. But the only thing I remember out of Eichenberg is that in one-on-one drills, he basically bull rushed Jalen Phillips, your favorite player color.
Really?
That was the only thing that I found from it. And it was only, and there's also speculation that Phillips slipped. So it's not even legit bull rush.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, so that being said, I just think that it at some point Greer has to take the L. I understand why he doesn't want to, because these are guys he drafted and traded up for, and that's what hurts more, because you traded up for the guy. But the longer you hold on to him, the more we're gonna bleed out. You need to do some surgery, sew it up, and get rid of the cancer or whatever it may be, out of your body. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And whatever analogy along that line you want to use, let's go ahead and get it done now, rather than let us bleed out to death. It's a slow death. You know what I mean? That's all it is.
Exactly.
So that's just my opinion regarding Eichenberg and Isaiah Wynn. I think it's Isaiah Wynn's to lose. We'll see if he plays tonight. I have a slight feeling he might play a series, but I don't know. So,
by the way, I wanted to give Adam Sadowski earlier. It said, if I want to impress Chef Jew by making him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or I would do it if he says you impress Chef Jew by making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the shape of a dolphin. And you're right, Adam. That would definitely impress Chef Jew, I'm sure. So yeah, you're right. You could impress Chef Jew with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I suppose. Good. So I just thought that was funny, Ollie. Sorry. We can move on.
No problem. So the next guy I'm going to talk about, there are 2 players that I'm rooting for this offseason. Every offseason, we get the guy that you absolutely fall in love with, that is your long shot to make the team, or he's the underdog, if you know what I mean, right? Color had Cameron Good, and you still got Cameron Good as your long shot to make this team. That's what you're hoping for, right? You're hoping to see the progression, and you want Cam Good to make this team more than anything. Well, I got 2 guys. One guy we can both agree on that we like, and let me just make sure he's not on this list. No, he's not on this list, surprisingly. I wonder what that means. Does that mean that he could be a lock now, but he's not on this list? And that is Aubrey Miller. The whole TFTG group all agree we want Aubrey Miller to make this team more than any of the other undrafted free agents. Can we agree on that, Color? We want for undrafted free agents.
Yeah, I can vote yes for myself. Yeah, I'm pulling for the guy for sure.
Yeah, all of TFTG is everybody from El Capitan, Lewis, myself, KP. I know for a fact he was rooting for him. I mean, come on, we had Broken Takes HBCU school conversation. We're
make
rooting
it
for
happen, Greer. Make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen, definitely. And maybe that's why he's not on this list, because he has been impressive. He has flashed quite a bit. They have used him in the starting role, and they had him use play calling on the defense. So rock and roll to Aubrey Miller and keep it going. But this guy that I'm going to go over is my second favorite guy as an undrafted free agent this year. And it is a need position. And when I say need position, it means we are We are lacking depth. And this guy has been flashing more consistently
I
of
know
late.
who it
And
is.
even so, the way he really put himself on the scene was kind of not in the best way for running backs, if you know what I mean, that are wearing a red jersey. All right.
Oh,
That
brutal.
is nose tackle Brandon Pilley. And yes, it is pronounced Pilley, I confirmed. Vic Fangio made it clear last Friday that he wasn't crazy about Dolphins' depth on the defensive line. And since then, Pilley has had a couple of productive practices. If this rookie free agent from USC can stand out in the preseason games and make himself noticeable, he just might be able to land himself a roster spot. I can't agree more. How has he flashed and how it all started? I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe he body slammed or slammed down Raheem Mostert while he had the red jersey on. And he got yelled at for it. I believe that's how it started from what I was told. I didn't witness it, but this is what I was told and read reports on. And since then, every camp, he has flashed a bit, and more so as of lately, the last 3 or 4 practices, he has been flashing a lot more. He's been getting more involved. He got a sack the last practice that we just had. He's getting pressures. He's doing what he needs to show that he can play at this level, and I want to see more of it. I want to see him be successful. I want this guy to make the roster. He's my dark horse, but fan. I'm a big fan. You know what I mean? And color. I'm not gonna lie. I already got his autograph too on top of it. So yeah, I'm being a little bit biased here.
we'll give the guy a little slack. Maybe he thought it was the guy wearing the orange jersey.
Maybe that's what he is. Maybe he has a hard time seeing red and orange, especially
it's bright out there. It's bright sun. He's hot. Yeah. He's hot and bothered and playing and practicing, and it's rough. And he just thought he saw an orange jersey.
Yeah, that is true. That is definitely true. So
good
shout
morning,
out
Trucker
to him.
Sean.
What's up, Trucker Sean? How you doing, man? Trucker Sean, shout out to you, bro. The guy is here every episode. Shout out to him, man. Definitely shout out to him. Let's keep it going, color. So the next guy we can talk about, and we got about 30 minutes left, and we have quite a few more people to talk about. Okay.
All right.
So let's kind of get through them. Yeah, let's try to keep the comments about some of these players to a minimum, unless it's a big conversation. Okay. So the next guy.
Just say, don't ramble, color. Don't ramble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This guy is actually one I want to say El Capitan kind of gave him a big shout out last night, right? And shout out to him because he plays for your favorite college team, color, or played for your favorite college team. After being tutored by Dolphins Hall of Famer Jason Taylor, again, I'll say that again, tutored by Dolphins Hall of Famer Jason Taylor at the University of Miami. This rookie free agent, Edge Mitchell Agude, and hopefully I said his last name correctly, racked up the sacks in training camp with his speed getting around the corner. It's going to be hard to keep him off the 53-man roster if he shows this kind of production in the preseason. Though it must be pointed out, the Dolphins have a lot of depth when it comes to edge defenders with Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Emmanuel Ogbah, Malik Reed, Cameron Good, and Andrew Van Ginkel. This is true. Yeah, there is a lot to be loved here. The guy does look very good. It has been flashy, consistently getting sacks and racking them up and everything. He's really making it hard to keep him off this roster. What I will say about this depth that we have, you can never have too much depth because look what happened last year. Emmanuel Ogbah got hurt. We weren't expecting that, and he was out for the season. You know what I mean? Chubb, Jalen Phillips. Yeah, we got Jalen Phillips and Chubb. That's correct. But, and we also have Malik Reed. But Van Ginkel is that question mark. Will they list Van Ginkel at the linebacker position and not the outside linebacker position, as edge? So maybe because he fits 2 roles, that makes a roster spot available. You know what I'm saying?
True. As far as listing goes, I would
Yeah.
suggest they would. I would imagine they'd list him with the guys he's been training with in camp, which is the inside linebacker group, middle linebacker group. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. My cat wanted to make an appearance. Can you say hi, Snickers?
Oh, wow. Snickers, huh?
Yeah, well, her real name is Snickerdoodle, but we call her Snickers.
Oh, I
Say
was gonna
hi.
say, 'cause she's the cream of my coffee.
Yeah, she's my Siamese kitty.
Yeah,
Most
they're cool.
Yeah, this cat loves to be cuddled. Let me tell you. All right, let's keep it going. Anyway,
I got a Siamese basil.
there you go, color. Is it spicy?
It is actually, yeah. It's a version of Thai basil. It's called Siam Queen Thai.
Yeah, it's not Thai. Anything like that kind of stuff sounds spicy to me. So definitely.
It does have a little. It is a little spicier. It actually smells like licorice.
Wow, that's interesting. All right, let's keep it going, color. So this next guy really needs to show up. This guy has been playing Houdini. Now you see me, now you don't. In camp, and it's not in a good way, right? Linebacker Channing Tindall. This doesn't happen often with a second-year, third-round pick, but it's probably not an exaggeration to suggest that Tindall's roster spot might be in jeopardy if he doesn't produce in the preseason. This is absolutely true, color. Tindall has had a better training camp than he did a rookie in 2022, but still hasn't done enough to secure his spot after a rookie season spent pretty much solely on special teams. Now, you have a guy like Aubrey Miller that I mentioned that's flashing more consistently and showing that he has more in the tank and showing up in practice and getting the looks. And I haven't seen equal or as much from linebacker Channing Tindall. We need this man to show up to show why we drafted him. What do you think, Color?
I'll make a three-way take from the last guy or two, which will include Tindall.
Okay.
I would not be upset as much as I love Cameron Good and want him to finally get a shot on the 53. I would not be upset if he was beat out by a Hurricane playing at the level that that other guy is, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I also wouldn't be upset if there was one spot left, and it was between Good and Tindall, and they kept Good. I would not be upset whatsoever. Now Tindall does have a chance to kind of change my mind if he can show that he can contain the freaking edge, like let's say tonight in a preseason game, where he couldn't do that last year as a rookie in a preseason game against the Eagles. If you all remember when the Eagles got that huge run from scrimmage on us for a touchdown, that edge was blown by Channing Tindall that night. And we all said, oh, he's a rookie. It's preseason. Well, now this is his second preseason. And we'll see what happens tonight.
We definitely will see what happens tonight. So I need to see him show up in the preseason game. I need to see him on the field and show us what he has. Definitely. The next guy, Color, I think that this guy has made one of the biggest noticeable jumps from the previous years to this year. There's definitely progression there, and it's not just in his gameplay, but his look and his physique and everything. And in addition to it, I've said that it looks like he's jumped across the ocean from the previous year to this year, right? And that is Noah Igbenogany. And anybody who has watched Noah this summer can see a noticeable difference in his performance. And it seems pretty obvious he's benefited from a change in defensive scheme that's called the more zone coverage. That's called for more zone coverage. I'm sorry. Than man-to-man. The big test now will be to see if that improvement carries into the person and whether he actually can make a push to earn the starting job opposite Xavier Howard while Jalen Ramsey is sidelined with his knee injury. Now, yes, I do think that Noah is going to excel in this scheme. He already has shown promise in training camp. I have seen him, be in the proper spots. He doesn't look like he's getting lost in the deep routes. You know what I mean? He was right there. So many deep throws with Javon Holland and the receiver. He's covering the right route. You know what I mean? And I'll say physically, he looks like he got a little bit bigger, stronger in a sense. What do you think?
Well, given the fact that we have an injured corner now, couple that with Xavier Howard's groins, and the fact that Noah has been absolutely just been stellar in camp so far, I actually think he's a lock. You have to have him on this team.
Yeah, I kind of think he's a lock at this point. Primarily because he's shown promise, and you can definitely see the improvement. But also it's a matter of need because Jalen Ramsey is out. You know what I mean? But then again, Color, we do have a little bit more depth on this team at this position now. So let's continue because the next guy is going to add to this depth. And I honestly think, as much as I love to see the underdog win, this guy has been putting in the work, and I think he's going to give Noah a run for his money for that spot, regardless, right? And that is our second round pick, Cam Smith. Smith has been really good, really, really good in the first NFL training camp to this point, where the idea of the 2023 second round pick being that starter in Ramsey place doesn't even sound crazy. It's not crazy. This guy is that good. The preseason game should offer a clearer picture of whether Smith is ready for the challenge or if he needs more seasoning. I'll be surprised if he needs more seasoning. I'll put it that way. This guy has been putting in consistent work, pass breakup after pass breakup. He finally got his first interception. Even when he wasn't getting the interceptions, he's always there blanketing his receiver. I haven't seen too many flags thrown at, if any, against him, in my personal opinion. You just know the guy is going to be special, Color. Just looking at him, and when you see him in person, you can tell he's going to be special. The way he moves, the way he makes adjustments, he makes it look so easy and natural. It's ridiculous. What do you think, Color? What do you think of Cam Smith?
I don't disagree with anything you said about Cam Smith.
Yeah.
But as far as who wins that spot, if it does come down to a final spot between those two, you may start to see the business of the professional game come into play. Where, look, if Atlanta targets Noah more tonight, and Atlanta believes in in Cam Smith the way you and I do, they may not give Cam Smith enough targets, and it may come down to, if Noah shuts down those targets and gets a chance to shine, that could give him the tipping edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is absolutely true. I think
And that's just being a victim of, you're probably too good for how young you are in the league, because a team is going to be like, oh, I ain't targeting that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They target Noah all night, you know what I mean? And then boom, Noah balls out and earns his spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree completely, Color. I think that
we're in a good situation, because if that don't happen, then give it to Cam Smith. Sorry.
I think Noah has a higher chance of being targeted, and that may be a good or bad thing. But if teams are not targeting you, that doesn't mean it's bad. That could be a really good thing as well.
It could be, but when it comes to preseason for a rookie, no, I mean, they got to look at you, bro. You know what I mean? Even though they know the reason you're not getting targeted, they still are like, sometimes if they don't look, if they're in on the guy, then he's got the spot anyway. You know what I mean? It don't matter, if it comes down to what you're saying, But if there is still a question, then as unfortunate as it is, he don't get the targets, he don't get the looks. Same with Skyler not getting the reps because Mike White held on to the ball all the way till the end of the session. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
It's unfortunate, but that's the NFL, bro. If Mike McDaniel don't want to create another session to give Skyler those reps, then Mike White is effectively won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. It's gonna be very interesting what happens, and but I'm telling you right now, I think Cam Smith could very well become the starter when it all comes down to the end of it.
Right,
And you know what, and you know what, so be it that it right now, to be honest, is that at the beginning of the season, if he's the starter, I'm okay with it because that's how you want to feed him to the fire, so to speak.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, when Ramsey comes back and you're ready for that playoff push, you're going to have 3 corners that actually 4 with Cater Kahu that are really seasoned. You know what I mean? They're going to be able to put up the battle. There's no training that Ramsey's going to have to this is one thing Ramsey has in the bag. When he comes back, he's not going to have to sit there and babysit you and help you out at the same time as doing his role. You know what I mean?
Right.
All that's going to be done because you've been thrown to the fire, and you should know it by the time he gets back. So that's a benefit in this sense for Ramsey indirectly, I should say, to having this injury and having to come back from it.
Right.
Because I kind of feel go ahead.
Go ahead. No, finish up. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you.
Because what I was thinking is if Ramsey was here right off the get-go, right, and healthy, and he's starting, when Xavier Howard has to take a break or if something happens to Xavier Howard, Ramsey is going to have to not only cover for Xavier, he's going to have to babysit the other people to make sure they're doing what they're doing. We know we don't have to worry about it for Cater Kahu. Cater Kahu is not a problem.
Right.
The problem would be, go ahead.
I was just gonna say about Noah and Cam. On the other token, Cam's a rookie, and the teams might decide to target him instead of Noah. You know, Josh Allen is the next. Carson Wentz keeps pointing out that that he is only 23. He is still young too. And
you're talking about Noah, yeah, definitely.
Yep, Noah, yeah. And look, we all could be surprised. And given that we have the change with Vic Fangio and all that, we don't know what he thinks about Noah. We could all be surprised and Noah doesn't get one freaking rep tonight or for the preseason because they put him in with the rest of the starters that aren't getting any playing time in the preseason. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We may be surprised and find that out.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely, we might definitely find that out, and we'll see what happens. There's one more guy on this list, Color, that we're going to talk about shortly, and then we're going to probably open it up the last 10 minutes with a Q&A.
Yeah, we made it with enough time to have a Q&A. Look at that, man.
Yeah, 10. Yeah. We'll leave the last 10 minutes for that, so we're trying not to make this too long. Safety Elijah Campbell is the last guy on their list. It's easy to overlook Campbell in the Dolphins secondary, but he has had a really, really good camp to this point where he's put himself in position to compete for the starting safety job alongside Javon Holland. A former cornerback, Campbell possesses a nice combination of coverage ability and physicality, making him ideally suited for Vic Fangio's scheme. If he performs well in the preseason, he just might become a surprise starter on defense. All right, so do understand we have not seen much of Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones, I kind of think, is a lock on this team because of how much versatility he brings. So does players like Trill Williams, for example, Color. So does safety Elijah Campbell. What do you think of Elijah Campbell? I mean, do you think he could work well next to Javon Holland? Or do you think when Brandon Jones is fully 100% back, do you think that would be kind of who the other starter would be? What do you think? Deshaun Elliott, so you know, Deshaun Elliott has been kind of inconsistent. And that's why we're talking about this. But go ahead.
Well, I would say that on my own evaluation, I think that Elijah's got the ability to tackle. He's great open field tackling, which is always a plus for me. But what I do believe, having watched him in and out, throughout camp, he's probably having the best performance of camp that nobody's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it's the best performance. What I'm saying is he's having an upper average performance. You know what I mean? And he's getting talked about the least. For having the type of showing he's been having at camp. So I don't think people should be surprised if he makes the 53-man roster, and I'd be comfortable with it because he does cover well and does tackle well. So he's consistent. He's just quietly having a great camp. You know?
Mm-hmm. I agree. Manalo Rivera says Trill looks great, but needs to stay healthy. I agree. He's also transitioning to be that hybrid safety corner role. And I think you're going to see a lot more of those style players brought into the secondary, not just for this year, but years to come, as long as we have Vic Fangio here. I think he likes those type of versatile players and needs to see more of them. But there's a lot of depth in the corner position and the secondary that we have here, and there's a lot of players to choose from. It'll be very interesting what happens, but I do think we've seen it in camp. We need to see it in the game. Once we see it in the game with Elijah Campbell, I think he has a good chance of making this roster. It's very possible.
Exactly. Ali, do you have a final take, like a quick take on the entire discussion about all these guys?
Final take.
Just kind of a sum up, maybe a prediction or something, or an expectation, or given what we've talked about all these guys.
Okay, so in regards to the corner position, I kind of think that you might see them in the beginning, first half, early when it comes to Noah and Cam Smith. I don't think they're going to play a full game, but I think that they're going to come in early and be able to see what they have.
That's turning into a great position battle, ain't it, bro? That's freaking. This is great. This is freaking. I think such a great situation for us to be in, man.
Yeah. Now, if you're an undrafted player, such as Brandon Pilley or even Agude, who's I believe was undrafted, and some of these other players, I think that they may get a lot more work. Because they're undrafted, to get them kind of seasoned, to truly put them at a better level playing field when it comes to the second or third preseason game. You know what I mean?
Right. And who we playing this year in the preseason? The Falcons, the Texans, and who's the other one? The Jaguars, right?
I think so. Don't quote me on the last team. I'm not sure. Put it in the chat if you know who we're playing.
Right. So real quick. So that's. I feel bad for those teams, wide receiver 4s and 5s, with this Cam Smith Noah battle. That's all I'm saying. I feel bad for them guys.
Yeah. Someone's asking, did Charles Woodson play in a Vic system in Green Bay?
I don't know. Good question.
That is a good question.
Quickly, I was going to give my kind of final thought on the whole list and the discussion and kind of predict something. I'm not predicting that Cam Good makes the 53-man roster. What I'm saying is, if he does make the 53-man roster, at some point in this season, we're going to have a critical goal line stand because he blows up a line of scrimmage. Book it. That's only if he makes the team, obviously. I'm saying if he makes the team at some point in this season, a goal line stand that he blows up the line of scrimmage on may be, in fact, the pivotal point of our season and save our season. Book it.
Yeah, I hear you. So somebody asked, does Miami keep 12 DBs this season on the roster? No, I'm not going to say 12. Let me clarify. It might be close when you think of corners and safeties combined. Yeah, because in 2020 we kept 10 total. You had 5 corners and 5 safeties that they kept. I want to say in 2021 they kept a little bit more corners and safeties combined than 10. So it's very possible you might see something similar to that. We might keep 6 corners and maybe 5 safeties. That's a very possible. Injuries were a concern for the corner position, so I do expect them to maybe keep 1 or 2 more extra, to be honest, this season. Please put in your questions in chat. We're going to be doing Q&A till 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, it'll be a hard stop, just so you guys know. I see the Buffalo Bills fans are up in here. How are you guys doing today?
You mean they didn't give you the day off because it's game day, man? Dang.
Well, I'm glad
aren't they
to
Dolphin
see,
fans where you work, bro?
I am glad to see Michael Caine here. I want to say it was yesterday. I think he was missing from the morning show, to be honest. So it's good to see him. He may have shown up, but it may have been later, I think.
No wonder it took me so long to wake up.
V21 says we're going to keep 6 cornerbacks and 4 safeties. That's a possibility, and we might have one that comes off the practice squad. You're right. I do expect them to keep more corners than safeties this year, though. Let's see what else we got. Please put in your questions, and we'll answer questions in the last 10 minutes here. Let's see. Trying to see if we missed any. What's up, Miss Fins? I see you in here. Shout out to Miss Fins. Check her channel out. Make sure you hit like and subscribe while you're there.
What's your favorite pizza topping, Ollie?
Oh, dude. Oh, man, I have so many. My go-to is going to be some form of just pepperoni or pepperoni and Italian sausage, maybe. I like meat lovers, like top it with pepperoni, salami, bacon, and sausage, and tons of cheese. And then I know I'm going to freak people out, but I'm one of those guys when I'm eating something like that, I don't mind even topping it with some ranch dressing if possible. I've done that. My wife is a big Hawaiian pizza fan, but I'm not the biggest fan. However, I have had pepperoni and pineapple, and that's not a bad combination, to be honest. It's not horrible. So,
wow.
Record prediction for this season. So
I guess the old saying is true. When your wife gets pregnant, the husband is pregnant too, right?
Bro, I ate so much food when she was pregnant. I'm not gonna lie. So let's keep it going. There's some Dolphin questions being asked here, Color. So Kane's Dolphin, shout out to you, man. Thank you for joining the channel. Appreciate it. He asks Ali and Color, what is your record prediction for this season? I'm gonna go first, and then you can answer, Color. Okay. My record prediction, and I know earlier on in the offseason, it was all over the place. And it was because I wasn't happy with certain things that I saw the Dolphins doing because I didn't see the bigger picture. After certain moves were made and I could kind of see what the picture really was, then I changed my tune from what I said, because earlier on, it was not a good record at all, right? Now, looking at the schedule, looking at the players we brought in and the potential of our team, specifically, what I've seen out of this defense with and without Ramsey and having Vic Fangio here. That being said, if they improve the defensive play and alone play more elite defense, that's going to add a few more games to our win total compared to last season, as well as if our quarterback stays healthy. That is key. If our quarterback QB1 stays healthy, and they do at least the same type of production they were on pace for last season, that's going to add a few more games to our win total. I feel that there should be no reason why we can't go 14-3 this season, right? I'm confident. There's only 2 games all season that I am concerned about where I could see that we're probably not going to win. And it's not that we don't have the talent. It's that they're both, the Super Bowl champion and the Super Bowl running up. And that's the Eagles and Kansas City. They're already where we want to be. So they already have the experience. That's why I think they have one leg up on us. But if you really break it down, we do have the talent to at least compete with them at certain positions. And I mean, come on, it's Andy Reid. The guy is like a coaching mastermind. He's in the league. I mean, in my opinion, color, and you might debate me on this. There's Bill Belichick, but then there's Andy Reid. You know what I mean? Those are the two guys as a coaching standpoint that I think are the best coaches in this league. What do you think about
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you had Andy Reid as your OC, Bill Belichick as your DC, under Don Shula as a head coach? Can you imagine that fucking team, bro?
Bro, that sounds like Mount Rushmore to me. I mean, that's what it sounds like,
you, bro.
And here's the thing. That's no disrespect to our McDaniel. McDaniel is young, bro. He's making his name. He could maybe, who knows, 20 years down the road, maybe he ends up being the next, offensive-minded head coach that is along that line. Who knows? Maybe. But we need him to get us to the promised land, get us that promised land win, and then we could hold him up to, start comparing him. But until he makes his name in that retrospective, we're not there yet with our coach. But I have confidence in McDaniel and everything. And that also goes into my 14-3 prediction record. What do you got? What do you think?
So I got 4 whole minutes to explain this. All right, here we go. No, so everybody has heard, my long-term time supporters and audience has probably heard me say that I believe there's a difference between expectation and prediction, right? Mm-hmm. So my expectation is that my football team executes the way they're supposed to execute. And if that happens, then my expectation is that we'll steal a couple wins from the good teams. We should beat all the bad teams, and we should go, 13-4. My prediction is that we don't have 100% execution because it's the NFL. We suffer a few injuries here and there, like any other season. A couple missteps, whatever. And my prediction is that we still pull it out, a nice 11-6 record, and make a run.
All right, and to your answer, real quick, because I'm getting some flack from my 14-3 take. That's actually more of an explained reason on why I was saying 14-3. It's based on you can't. How can you say you have one of the best rosters in the league, but then turn around and trash your team saying they're not going to perform? You know what I mean? You have to. It's based on execution. Exactly. It's based on if they execute. On paper, we have one of the best rosters ever put together, but they have to execute. If they execute based on what I know that they can do and the production that you've seen from previous years, and what Vic Fangio and what the talent that's on this defense and whatnot, they should be able to steal a few more wins and beat all the teams that they should beat in everything, right? That's why I say 14-3.
Right.
Now,
this early on, we're not injured. We haven't played a game. There's no reason to. The default position is that we don't suffer one single injury.
Yeah, so that's
and then we execute 100%. So that's the expectation.
That is my expectation. Now, prediction. Let's say we do get one or a couple of those injuries, like you said. Maybe we take a step back here or there. Even that being said, as long as our quarterback is healthy, and I said this with my prediction initially, there should be no reason why I'm going to say we could get 11-12 wins. I'm right there with you. It's very possible.
Yep, so, and that very well, but based on the quality in the AFC East and whatnot and all that, that very well could be the top of the division right there.
And is it a homer take? Absolutely not, because you got people in mainstream media that are not even Dolphin fans that are predicting the same thing based on if they execute.
Look,
that is the big word.
Exactly, Ali. And look, I am as far as my 11-6 prediction, I'm taking into account injuries, missteps, lack of execution here and there. You know what I mean? Getting stole by one of those lesser grade teams. You know what I mean? Which happens to every great team. You know what I mean? Except for the Miami Dolphins in 1972. But that's a different story. You know what I mean? So Yeah, my expectation is a decent 13-4 record because I expect my team to execute. That's what makes me a fan. I don't give a fuck about, excuse my French, about New England executing. You know what I mean? I'd rather they not, because I'm a fan of the Miami Dolphins. So why would I not expect my team to execute? And if they do, that paper becomes valid. And that paper says 13 plus wins. Bottom line.
Thank you for your thoughts, Color. I appreciate it and everything. I appreciate everyone joining the channel. It's that 8 o'clock hour. So thank you very much. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell everybody about the show. You know, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. This is Top of the Tailgate. And with that, I will say, fins up, everybody. Have fun at the game.